we're just left in limbo.
Kaylee Goncalves' parents sharing exclusively. The family still waiting on a full digital copy of Kaylee's phone from authorities.
These are the last moments of your child's life, and you're sitting here fighting with somebody who just doesn't care.
Content warning. This presentation includes discussions of true crime and depicts scenes that viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Clear picture that I'm concerned about is the state's pathway of how Bryan Kohberger comes to their attention and is identified.
Finally. Will we get down to this? The perplexing evidence about the car. So all along it's kind of been stated, right, that, oh, well, they would totally know it was Kohberger's car because he wouldn't have the front license plate, as though you couldn't remove the front license plate if you were, plotting murder and whatnot. I mean, the fact that any Hyundai Elantra was on any camera without a front license plate does not prove it was Bryan. It proves someone removed or obscured the plates, which could totally be some of the confusion surrounding the car. You cannot tell me that they have good evidence of this man driving that car and that they needed to change the dates of the pre-facelift car that they thought was the suspect car into a 2015. And I mean, any layman can look at it and tell it shouldn't take an FBI expert to be able to differentiate. Literally no words, and you won't need any, nor would you need many indicators for what's different here, just looking at it on the surface. Not to mention, okay, I don't like to bring up mainstream media too much, especially the ones who quote someone, quote, close to the investigation, end quote. Defense attorneys actually legitimized this one report by stating that allegedly, someone close to the investigation had disclosed more to the New York Times than to the defense counsel in this case. That's right, not kidding. So I believe that this report warrants like a further little view. It turns out in that report, they noted, quote, a week after the killings, records show investigators were on the lookout for a certain type of vehicle. Nissan Sentras? From the model year 2019 to 2023. Quietly, they ran down details on thousands of such vehicles, including the owners' addresses, license plate numbers, and the color of each sedan. Yeah, I don't think they had a good eye for what this Hyundai was supposed to look like. Wait, Hyundai? Sentra? Who knows? I mean, it's pretty clear that these guys did not have the year together. They did not have their year shit together, okay? Because it's clear that they did not have the year of the car clear before the arrest. I mean, the literal day before, one calendar day before Kohberger's arrest, MPD puts out a report, they put out an update, a press release update, and reiterated that they are still looking for the exact same Hyundai Elantra they had been looking for. Cue to the next day, and the investigation continues, and detectives have seized a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra. Okay.
I want us to have a clear picture before we have that deadline. And the clear picture that I'm concerned about is the state's pathway of how Bryan Kohberger comes to their attention and is identified. I've read that PC affidavit over and over and over again, and I'm not sure. Over a year into this case and everything I've read, and I've spoken with our team, we're not sure how the state decides on Bryan Kohberger. I know different pieces, but I don't know where they fit together. And the more work I do, the less I know about how they fit together. The court vacated its scheduling order last fall. That was part of the scheduling order that was vacated. So the state asserts in its scheduling order that our time has expired, and that just can't be, because the court didn't carve that out and say, I'm going to vacate everything but this.
And just to squeeze this little wee bit in here, right, from the report, that everyone was like, why are you looking into white supremacy? What the hell does that have to do with the murders? Oh, well, okay, maybe it didn't. But that wasn't what the cops were stating, according to the same New York Times article quoted by defense. They thought white supremacy might be what's up. Well, not what's up. Hopefully they didn't think white supremacy was like, what's up? But you know what I mean. They were like, what are y'all doing over there, white supremacists? Oh, no, it ain't y'all? Okay. We knew it was Kohberger anyway.
We do not believe a summer of 2024 trial is realistic in any way. Understanding the state's concerns, if a trial were to happen in Latah County, we would suggest looking at summer of 2025. The court's aware that our intention is to file a motion for change of venue. That hasn't been filed yet because we're not ready to have that heard yet. There's work that has to be done to present to the court and counsel in support of that. So that's just for the court's information.
I'm not quite sure what else I can offer.
You're making some kind of argument that changing venue, but I know we're not arguing about that.
And, I don't think that's going to change anything, Judge. When this case has national, if not international, attention. This spring, I was at Association of Council of Counties board meeting in McCall, and there was more news every morning from Boise on this case than we see up here. Every doggone morning. I have friends in this community who have traveled to Mexico, and they say people who were from Moscow, and immediately they want to talk about this case. It's not Moscow, it's not Latah County, it's everywhere. So I don't think that a change of venue is going to solve any of these problems. And the state's position on venue is that the case should be held here. It's a Latah County case. We believe that we can select an appropriate panel of jurors from Latah County. We have the tools to work with that we've discussed with Your Honor. In fact, we already have a fairly comprehensive draft juror questionnaire to send out so that the court and counsel can assess the level of knowledge and the feelings of the potential jury pool. But we think that we at least owe Latah County, the people of Latah County, the attempt to seat a jury here first, and not just rely on there's been a lot of publicity. There's been a lot of publicity everywhere. The only place I've heard that there wasn't publicity is in Lewis County. Somebody was talking to a court down there, and they happened to mention co-workers and said, what are you talking about? So if we want to change venue, I guess we could go to Nez Perce.
Kind of small.
It's kind of small. Lodgings aren't very good as far as a lot of lodging. But I think that is a practical observation on this case. It's not just here. It's not just Moscow. It's not just Latah County.
Well, that makes sense because, unlike defense attorneys in this case who actually have legitimate professionals looking at impressions on the internet and other statistical data on the coverage of the case, but no big, Bill Thompson, he knows people, friends, who had heard about the case in Mexico. Breaking news. Bill Thompson agrees with the alleged cartel conspiracy by admitting his Mexican friends had heard about the case. I'm totally just kidding. Please forgive me, Mexicans. I don't believe it was the cartel. Drug-related violence is not synonymous with the cartel, and even typical cartel violence is largely misunderstood, and that was purely for the joke of the matter. But the prosecuting attorney suggests Nez Perce as a alternative. Okay, as an alternative, whatever. So look at where Nez Perce is. Like, really? That's the only place he's heard of that didn't get any coverage. Convenient. Yeah, defense has been setting up for venue changes the entire time. And you could see that in them asking the judge to take judicial notice of certain press coverage and certain things they found to be particularly prejudiced to Bryan.
You fucking asshole! You fucking liar! You fucking manipulator!
Don't wear that outfit again.
I told a few of you guys that I was going to post about Maddie's last TikTok and the possible significance. As if it could get any more. Coincidentally, the same day that I'm sitting down to actually finally narrate that, the court puts out a TikTok warrant that's actually quite old. It was put out sometime last year. However, the continuance on its secretive and sealed nature in the case right now was renewed through the docket, and today we got to see that Ethan and Beth and Dylan had their TikTok accounts searched specifically on a warrant for the three of those. Why not the rest of everyone? Well, especially considering that allegedly Xana was on TikTok. I don't know why their TikToks are not included. Maybe they're in another warrant in and of themselves. I'm not sure. Kind of weird, but you know, it is the Bryan Kohberger versus Idaho case. Perfect time to talk about the possible significance of this video. I've done my due diligence, and to me, due diligence with this subject is making sure to speak with teenagers and TikTok trendy experts on the subject matter. I've gotten their approval and skepticism alike. Here we go. So Maddie's last TikTok, considering our hindsight, takes on a heavy significance in the light of her tragic passing and whatnot. And if we focus solely on Dylan's costume here, it's not just a random choice, especially considering the context of this costume wearer being a surviving roommate from the horrific event. So I'm not just poking fun, I'm for real. Is this a freaking clue? A message or a reflection of something more troubling? So she highlights Dylan here, and Dylan alone. It's not like she's making fun of everyone or multiple people's costumes or writing something witty about Halloween on it. It seems to sort of target Dylan, and the specific content that she chose might shed some suspicion on the particular dynamics within the King Road house. Was there some brewing around the surface? It's a sobering thought. But to me, check it out. The fact that it's Maddie's very last TikTok. She never posts anything else after this. It's centered exclusively on Dylan. It could very well be a big deal. It's easy to brush it off. It's a Halloween joke, but the timing and the focus of the post seem kind of tragic if I'm being honest. And it's worth going over every angle, and while we're waiting around on this slow ass court, what the hell else are we doing anyway? Right? So if Maddie and Dylan had a kind of relationship where they'd made fun of each other and we see videos supporting that, then yeah, I'd go for just another joke. It's TikTok, no big. But the thing is, Dylan didn't respond, or if she did, it's not there anymore. And if she did and she deleted it, well, there you go. That's not exactly harmless in the context. So if Maddie and Dylan didn't have a history of negative banter, then the one-sided, targeted nature of the video with no comments from Dylan kind of stand out. And analyzing the lyrics chosen specifically, one set that references American Psycho, yet another irony, and yet a film known for its dark commentary on superficiality and identity. In a movie, when Patrick Bateman tells a character not to wear a certain outfit again, a display of control and vanity, coming from a place of power and derision. Does this mirror the dynamic or critique that Maddie's choice was hinting at? Another selective emphasis would be the next lyrics that she chose. And in this context, the content was a theme of confrontation against an abuser. And this kind of layers the American Psycho lyrics with possibly something more than just playful irony. And again, the fact that it's solely focused on her, with no comment from her. The selection of these particular lines, given the layered context, kind of give the interpretation a more plausible and logical reasoning to me. But again, it could be nothing. You asshole, you fucking liar, you fucking manipulator. Pretty much charged with confrontation and accusation. Funny joke about a costume? Or weighty significance? Well, the choice is yours. And now we have the new mystery to boot. Is this what the TikTok warrants are about, or do they have anything to do with it? And why the hell are they for these three? Add into the layers of questions for you, and well, for me.
Particularly in a case where the state's decided that it wants to try to kill someone.
Mr. Lodgen said something that I think needs to be addressed. He makes the allegation the state is trying to kill someone here, and frankly, I find that offensive. What the state is trying to do is to enforce the law that our legislature has put in place. It says, in cases such as this, with facts like this, a jury is entitled to decide not only guilt, but potential felony. We are simply trying to fulfill our responsibilities under the law. To characterize it as the state is trying to kill someone, it's just simply appealing to raw emotion, and it has no place in this courtroom. We would ask that that not be allowed any further.
Not sure if we expected Bill Thompson to be a grown-up in court, much less a legal professional, but I could not believe that he tried to check Jay Lodgens over this. Like, he's concerned that he's compelling the emotions of the public. The public is out for Kohberger's blood in large numbers, so I'm not really sure what he's concerned about pertaining to that, but it's not like the jury's sitting there or this is trial, and that was so uncalled for. And if I'm reading Judge John Judge correctly, Judge John Judge, say that 10 times fast. Yeah, he kind of had that look like, bro. Summer of 2025, and John Judge is looking like us at home, like, damn, really? You guys are gonna wait till 2025? But I mean, seriously, you guys, 2 to 3 years wouldn't exactly be something you could consider abnormal, especially in these death penalty cases. As Ann Taylor mentions, you have to get a mitigating professional in order to get witness testimony, mitigating issues, facts, and sometimes practically relics in order to mitigate someone's court case. And annoyingly, everyone has put out a lot of conjecture since then. Oh, did you notice she said the very first thing she hired was a mitigating expert? Well, let's check out what the ABA says about death penalty attorneys and the mitigating experts. Supplementary guidelines in order to update the original ABA orders concerning mitigation. And that reflects the responsibility for the development of presentation of mitigation evidence that must be incorporated into the defense's case at all stages of the proceedings, from the moment the client is taken into custody and extending to all stages of every case in which the jurisdiction may be entitled to seek the death penalty, including the initial and ongoing investigation, pre-trial, proceedings, trial, appeal, post-conviction, review, clemency, and any connected litigation. So does it mean that Taylor believes her client is guilty? No. These guidelines were enacted because the mitigation function is of the utmost importance in the defense of capital cases. And to be seen to wait in the wings to spring into action at the penalty stage of a case, they figured there should be a consensus and supplementary guidelines to help attorneys understand the mitigating function of defense counsel in death penalty cases. That is why Anne would first and foremost hire a mitigating investigator, because mitigating investigators don't just find info for the penalty phase of trial, but innocence phases It can have a profound effect on the capacity for a defendant to have their execution mitigated, which is huge, right? To develop any capacity for redemption, no matter if they are found guilty or innocent. I mean, that should be first and foremost. But the supplemental guidelines address just that issue. They address defense attorneys who are so confident that they will be exonerated through a jury trial and facing dire consequences because the mitigating factor wasn't there from the beginning, as the supplementary guidelines recommend. The American Bar Association considers this so pivotal that the scope of mitigating evidence is considered potentially infinite. Just as the concept of mitigation is not restricted to the circumstances of the crime, it is also not restricted in time and place. Modern death penalty litigation demands that the defense team explore strategies that will project the client's growth and development into the future in positive and mitigating ways. So I had a lot of people ask me, like, Neeks, why haven't they asked to change the venue yet? And I told everyone you have to wait until jury questionnaires, and that's practically a different part of the pretrial process that everyone was in. And Ann Taylor confirmed that for everyone. They are definitely going to be motioning for a change of venue. Yeah, defense has been setting up for venue changes the entire time. And you could see that in them asking the judge to take judicial notice of certain press coverage and certain things they found to be particularly prejudiced to Bryan. And as I was going over that information, I happened to notice they even brought up the Goncalves family and stated that their form of like blood street justice was never the way to go. I was kind of surprised by that. I didn't really remember that. I don't know if I just skimmed over that originally or what. What were some of the prejudicial press releases that defense were asking the judge to take notice of? Well, that he was comparative to Lee Harvey Oswald, famed assassin who killed John F. Kennedy, compared to Ted Bundy. The fact that someone suspect was the girl's bartender and called Adam, and a few other interesting tidbits.
The prosecution
community. It should be done during the summer.
Worries more about the university and the university's agenda.
And I say that because right across the street there is Moscow High School. We can't sustain that for weeks and weeks on end. That's just the school district. It's not fair to the media. It's not in the academic year. We have graduations. We have numerous sporting events and other university-related events that essentially consume every available hotel or motel room within miles.
It's just the times where you think maybe decisions being influenced by, pressures outside of what's best for the case, that you got to put your foot down and say, okay.
And other university-related events that essentially consume every available hotel or motel room within miles. Submit that that's going to be unnecessarily complicated if trial occurs while the universities are in the academic year. We have graduations. We have numerous sporting and other university-related events that essentially consume.
Attacked Maddie first, then moved on to Kaylee.
There's evidence to show that she awakened and tried to get out of that situation.
They say she cried out, and her wounds show she fought for her life.
The way the bed was set up is what...
She was trapped.
She was trapped.
Xana also fought back. According to her father, she had severe defensive wounds.
She went down fighting.
I believe so. It's upsetting to think about.
She was always a very strong person.
Sometimes things happen beyond your control, as if they have a life of their own. Choices you make, what appears to be right, seems you just have no say. As if you're a witness to your own mistakes, it's easy to play along. After you see what the choices came to be, like a storm that's passed on. Oh, the brain down the drain. Oh, the fuse, the abuse. Oh, please felled trees. Oh, the fight over who's right. Trying to remember all the shit that went down. I don't know what your intention was. Like trying to memorize the Bible backwards to the start and reciting it from the heart, upside down. Oh, please, on your knees, amend what you defend. I'm right before I fight. You're wrong, this fight is lifelong. See the water